this rock I will build my church. But there's another kind of people called the gates of hell. He says they will not prevail against this church. So as far as the sons of... So looking at the dispensation of the heaven and the civilization of the heavens, starting from the highest order of ranking, we have seraphims, we have cherubims, we have thrones, we have dominion, we have virtues, we have powers, we have principalities, we have archangels, and we have angels. But while I looked at these 9 orders of various expressions of creatures in the heavenly rank, I discovered that at the zenith of it, especially according to biblical reports, at the zenith of it is a particular rank of creature called seraphim. The seraphim. So I began to seek what exactly makes these ones the zenith. What gave them that expression and what made them so noble in that civilization. Because I saw in Revelation chapter 22, I saw that the Apostle John the Beloved was caught up in the revelations, and he heard the utterances of an angel, and when the angel began to reveal deep things to him, he bowed down to worship the angel because the glory was so much. He seemed to be a custodian of mysteries. And the angel says, see that you worship me not. He says, behold, I am one of your fellow servants. Maybe generations of heaven and earth will make sense to you now. The word fellow means, me, I am a servant like you. And he now describes from which order he expresses his servanthood from. He says, from the, let's read it together. Start from verse 8. Verse 8 will show us better. Let's read together. 1, 2, go. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I heard and seen, I fell down of the angel which showed me these things. Next verse, quickly. Then said he unto me, let's read. See thou do it not, for I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren, the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book. Worship God. Listen to some details given by that your brother. Because he says, I am your brethren. He said, these are the generations. These are the family of the heaven and of the earth. You will find out that anytime you begin to seek God, anytime you begin to press into God, and you begin to make relevant strides, and your life begin to strike a mark, one of the bounties of that way of sacrifice is that you will attract a being. Something that does a similar work like what you are doing will appear to you, just to certify that you have inherited the capacity to relate with us. Why I began to share from the beginning that heaven will move before the earth. Everything the earth is bedeviled with at the moment, the heavens have faced it and they prospered. The first place sin was found was heaven, not earth. The first place there was war was heaven, not earth. The first place there was rebellion was heaven, not earth. All these things was found in heaven. It has been solved in heaven. The earth is struggling with the things that the heaven had dealt with. And so the only way is to emulate the patterns of the heavens. How did they do it when they were in our situation? Right now we are trying to be creative, trying to find new. In fact, they say they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their life unto death. So in the context of what we are sharing, it says, I am one of your brethren. So I see you as a brother. Number 2, it says, I am from the company of the prophets. So there are prophetic clans in heaven. It's not only on earth that there are prophets. The day you begin to press into God and your life starts striking relevant chord, one of the bounties you will enjoy is that those who do a similar work like you there, they will fraternize with you. You see, it was Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist, that stands as a priest in Israel. And the work of a priest is the one that stands on behalf of the sinful nation to represent their interests before God. Not all men can stand before God. Only a priest can stand in his presence. Which angel appeared to Zechariah? He says, I am Gabriel that stands in the presence. So a man of the presence will attract an angel of the presence. In the battle of Jericho, when military intelligence fell very short of the kind of fortification they found on that wall. In fact, 5 chariots could go side by side on top of the wall. It was like a cube. Meaning, if you're able to, maybe by violence, push the wall down, as the wall fell like this, it's a fresh wall. The up is not lower than the down. When Israel was confronted with that challenge, a man appeared and he had his sword drawn. So Joshua approached him and said, you know, there's so much pride in that conversation. He says, are you, in other words, what that means is that choose your words carefully. How can you, if you know that it's the enemy, will you tell him that, are you with us or against us? He said, are you for us or against us? The angel that came says, I am neither for you nor against you. Lo, I am the captain of the host of God. Who is Joshua? Joshua is the captain of the physical host. The captain of the spiritual host appeared to Joshua. So it's a matter of brethren. The time where angels start calling you brother is that point where your life have struck a relevant chord, and they can now fraternize with you as fellow servants. They can start discussing God's agenda with you. In that point, your consecration has bridged the gap between earth and heaven. So for your sake, angels can dialogue with you part time. They know that you don't need to die before you talk with us. Your life has struck a mark. This is why they continue to make reference to the generations of the heavens and of the earth. Listen, even after several creatures fell with Satan, several creatures of high-ranking disposition, it was only one that has capacity to tempt Jesus. Who came to Jesus? Lucifer, the light bearer. Only him can come to speak to the light of the world. It is an angel of light that will appear to a bearer of light. Because as long as you are journeying any path, there are those who have journeyed that path and they have been crowned with crowns of honor. So when they see you making progress on earth, a way of encouragement is to reveal themselves to you, to show you that this thing you are doing. You see, there have been several aeons of existence. We are not the first. As a matter of fact, our dispensation started with flood. Our dispensation started with water. No account of how God created water. They just told you that the Spirit of God began to hover. So the whole earth was submerged by water. That's how our story started. The same flood that had been cleansing various civilizations. But when it came to the flood of Noah, God needed to do something that would stop this storyline from repeating itself over and over and over again. So he used a covenant to hold the mouth of the deep. In case you have ever seen any rainbow in your life, know that there was an application from the mouth of the deep telling Adonai that the sin of the world had crossed his threshold. Allow us to cleanse the system again. That rainbow you saw was a conversation of spirits. It means, remember I told you, I will never destroy the earth with what? It means there was an application. Somebody applied for flood. And you know, that rainbow, you say you want a rainbow to be behind your wedding picture. That is a romantic. Can I share something with you? Of all the symbols that our alphabet brethren would have chosen, they choose rainbow as their logo. You don't know what they are telling you. All spirits know that this particular compromise, this is the sin that ends civilizations. Check every civilization and every land, every people that have met the doom of God. There is a particular sin that was the last expression that was entertained. Even when the angels came into Sodom to check, because they say the sin has reached heaven, but they want to check whether a sin that went from earth to heaven, they now came down to inspect. Let's see whether this thing is even possible. They now found out that angels that came, the men of Sodom say, we want to sleep with the men. Lord say, let me give you my daughters. The men of Sodom say, we don't like girls. As you begin to see various distorted sexual orientation in any civilization, that is the marker of judgment. That's the end of that people. They have reached a reprobate state. That place, God has given them over to the lust of their heart. It will be hard for the impending doom to not come. This is why when we speak about people knowing exactly what the devil is doing, he's trying to plunge many and many into deception, into corruption, so that at the end of the day, he will try to create more room, more time. In Revelation chapter 19, verse 9, you will see a similar narrative. Maybe and he said unto me, right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said unto me, these are the true sayings of God. Next verse, very quickly. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant. This is the second time. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus Christ. For the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy, the first angelic being that he interacted with in that manner, where he wanted to bow and worship. That one said, I am from the company of prophets. This one said, I am from the company of those who keep the testimony of Jesus. So they all explain their particular roles and the work they do within the celestial host. Now, immediately you are able to know that the storyline did not start with us, and there have been many expressions of civilizations, and the earth is an old accommodation. And when we are through with all of our expression, we too will leave it behind. You will know that the only thing you can do is to remember your Creator, is to fear God and keep His commandment. Because the judgment will be so vast. There have been several generations of existence, and you will be lost inside there. You think you are an emphasis. I wanted to share a burden with us.